And with that said, I will go ahead and bring Sid online here. Sid is a staff technical support engineer for Palo Alto Networks and is going to be handling today's event. So, Sid, are you there?
Charles, I'm here.
All right. The show is all yours.
Okay. You mentioned, right?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining on today's Fuel session. We'll be talking about advanced management plane troubleshooting. If you have any questions, any doubts, please raise your questions in the chat window, and one of my colleagues, who's moderating, will be answering your questions. Let's go ahead. Okay. When we talk about management plane, we have system services, which are actually daemons running on our PAN-OS. So core PAN-OS management plane and data plane functions are implemented in individual softwares, which are called as daemons. It comprises over 100 individual services, include many services that write their own logs. Service daemon logs can provide valuable information for troubleshooting, may include a debug level property that sets the type of events logged, can be displayed locally within the CLI, and can be exported for remote analysis. So these are some of the examples of service log. We have taken this example from a PF220 device. If you want to know what are the service logs available in your device, you can run this command less mp-log and press tab button. You will see what are the logs available or service logs available. Some of the important logs which we generally use in our day-to-day troubleshooting are highlighted in red. For example, if we are troubleshooting an issue related to authentication, the log which we refer is auth. If we are troubleshooting a VPN issue, the log we refer is mgr.log. Sometimes when we are doing advanced level of troubleshooting and we are collecting packet diag debugs, so the log name is panpacketdiag.log. Rest, you can see what are the logs available. So management plane services. When we talk about management plane, we have these services available in management plane. So the process or daemon running on management plane is management server. What it does, it implements backend management services, handles configuration management, commit operations, reporting. So this service runs as management server or MGMT SRVR. The log where it is stored. When we talk about service log, it's ms.log. So suppose if you're troubleshooting any issue related to the management server on the device, the log which we're referring is ms.log. Device server or config D, what it does, it pushes the configuration to data plane and handles various communication with data plane, such as URL lookup. And the log or service log where it stores is devserver.log or config.log. High availability manages the HA status and configuration sync between devices. When we have a HA setup, the log is HA-agent.log. Routing provides routing and dynamics routing state machine services. The log to refer is routedd.log. Log receiver records the traffic log sent from the data plane. If you remember, you have something called traffic logs on your firewall devices. It's actually the log receiver which records the traffic, and it is being shared from the data plane. The log name is logreceiver.log. syslog ng handles log forwarding. syslog ng.log. Where data receiver records URL log, PCAP sent from the data plane, and the log name is var receiver varrcvr.log. Web server implements the management user interface. Log name is appweb3-webserver.log or access.log. This is the directory var log nginx access.log. L3 service, L3 SVC implements captive portal, NTLM authentication, URL block pages, admin override for URL filtering. The log name is appweb3-l3svc.log. This is commonly used when you're troubleshooting issues related to captive portal, URL filtering, or URL block pages, which is actually not working as expected. Or D, manages all firewall and authentication policy initiated, user authentication, logs, accounts, etc. So the log name is odd.d.log. Crypto D, encrypts and decrypt password, private keys to enable them to be included as part of config file. The log name is cryptod.log. So actually, when you generate your TSF, so whatever the passwords you have configured on your device, it's this service which is actually encrypting those passwords before the file is being extracted. User ID manages user ID features, communications with user ID agents. It also incorporates legacy LDAP daemon, or which is actually LDAP-D, which is running on the device. The log where it stores information is useridd.log. SSL Manager or SSL-MGR fulfills OCSP and CRL queries from the management plane and data plane services. It also manages OCSP and CRL repository. The log name is SSL-Manager.log. SSL VPN implements web-based Global Protect features. Global Protect runs on SSL VPN. It also runs on IPsec, but it have both functionality. Log name is appweb3 SSL-VPN.log and SSL VPN _NGX _error.log. RAS MGR or RAS Manager provides support for Global Protect remote access logging. Log name is rasmgr.log. IKMGR and KeyMGR manages your ISEC-MP and IPsec key repository. The log name is ikemgr.log and keymgr.log. So these, when we are troubleshooting any of the issues related to these services, the logs which are mentioned here, we refer to this to understand why it is not working or what could be the problem with those services. Service log data or daemon log data. Debug levels are individually configurable. Service logs can be exported in a support file. You display service logs on the firewall using CLI. So whenever we talk about debug level, every log is, most of the logs are generally by default in info mode. Whenever you want to collect a debug of any of the service log, you can configure it. Service log can be exported into TSF. So when you are actually generating logs, these logs are saved on the device. When you extract the tech support file from the device, these logs are also exported. And if you want to review the logs on the CLI, you can also review the logs on the CLI. That means you can display the logs. To display management plane logs, you can run the command less mplog, log name, tail follow yes mplog. You can follow the logs one slowly, and grab mplog if you want to actually grab a pattern in the log. So for example, if I have this firewall, so this is a 3420 firewall. So if I press tab, I have 171 possibilities. If I press yes or Y, so these are the service logs present on this device. Suppose I want to review a log related to OD or authentication. If I press like this, it is going to show me complete log file from start, the log which is present, and I can press spacebar to go down and review the log at a specific timestamp wherever I'm troubleshooting. If you are doing a live troubleshooting, so the other command which I mentioned, tail follow yes plog and the log name RD. So what it does, it will show you a live log which is actually getting generated now. Suppose this is the firewall. Let's do one thing. Let's log out and log in. So I just logged out. So you can see a live log is getting generated. This is the user I logged in, admin, and from this IP address and auth request, auth success for admin. So this is where a live log is getting generated. So you can use tail follow yes command when you're troubleshooting something on live. When the issue has already happened, then you can use your less mp log command to actually go to that specific timestamp and understand why it was not working or what was the problem at that time. So Control C, you can exit this log file. Okay. So to display management plane logs, less mp log, and to display data plane logs, you can use this command, less dp log. You can always use grep command to match a pattern. Also, you can use tail follow to get the live logs at the time when you're troubleshooting the issue. Cron jobs. Cron jobs, as you know, these are some scheduled tasks. So some common jobs or some common scheduled tasks running on the device are as follow. Log indexing and summary generation. It actually runs every 15 minutes. Abstract generation for the ACC report. It runs by default every 15 minutes. Report generation on the device once per day at 2 a.m. Log purge once per day. When we talk about panorama report generation, once per hour. Content AV URL update, EBL refresh, FQDN refresh, and wildfire updates. These are something you can configure whenever you want to actually do a EBL refresh or a content update. So you must be already aware under device, dynamic updates, we have our content updates over here. So this is something which you can actually configure. So here is the schedule information. You can do a manual update or you can configure whenever you want to do an update, hourly, daily, or weekly. So these are the schedule jobs which you can also configure. Debug level logs. So generally, as I mentioned earlier, by default, logs will be in info mode. If you want to configure a debug in any service log, you can configure it. Enabling one of the debug level enables all the levels above. For example, if you are configuring, if the log is actually in info mode, it is by default collecting warning and error information. If you configure it into a debug mode, it will be collecting the above information with debug, that's info, warn, and error. So these are the options available: error, warning, info, debug, and dump. So how do you want to, how you can check what are the current debug levels or what are the current log levels set on the device? You can run the command debug software logging level, show level services all. So let's go ahead and run this command. So I can select a specific service or I can select all service. Let's do for all services. So you can see what are the services running on the device and you can see what are the levels set for the services. If you notice, most of the services are configured with info mode. There will be some of the services which will be in debug mode by default, but most of the services, or I can say more than 80% of the services are into info mode. Okay, so you can see when we talking about odd log, odd here. Okay, let's talk about HA agent. So HA agent by default is into debug mode. Okay, and if you see OD on the right hand side, it is also in the debug mode. But when we are troubleshooting VPN related issues, if you have already troubleshooted VPN on your device, you would have noticed if you have opened a ticket with TAC Engineer may have, would have asked you to collect a debug level log for IKMGR. So by default, IKMGR is set to info mode. You have to change it to the debug level to collect the logs, and once you have collected logs, the recommendation it is to actually move it back to the info mode. So whenever you collect debug mode, it is going to collect detailed logging, and there will be lot of logs generated. So that's why the recommendation is once you have troubleshooted the issue, you move it to the info mode. Whenever we are collecting detail level loggings, we are also using our CPU resources. So why change a service log debug level when we have info level or warning already available? In most of the cases, default logs provide enough information to solve the problem. Occasionally, there are exceptions. So routing, when we are actually troubleshooting advanced OSP or BGP related issues, in that case, info mode will not be enough. You would have to collect a debug level log. IPsec, and connections to unusual VPN host, we may not get actual information to info level. That's why we need to collect debug level. And in some rare cases, and where we do see a buggy behavior on the PAN OS, we actually involve our engineering team to troubleshoot or investigate. So in that case, engineering may request some debug level logs to collect more information, so that at the time we require more detailed logs and sometimes backtrace files as well. And in that case, we need to collect debug level logs. Okay, to reset debug level logs for all services, you can run this command: debug software logging level set level default services, default service all services. And if you want to reset one service, debug software logging level set level default service and the service name. What it does, if you have already changed any of the service to debug level, if you run this command, it is going to change it to the default value. For example, if you are troubleshooting VPN related issues and you have changed IKMGR to debug level, this command is actually going to move the IKMGR log to default, which is info. So let's click on this. So this is the command. I'll just show you again. Debug software logging level set level default service all services. If you do not even remember command, you can use the tab button. So tab set level default service, and then either one specific service or all service. So if I want to do for IKMGR, I can run this command and I will see for IKMGR. If I do want to do all service, I can just mention all. And to view, you can run the previous command. Show level all services. I don't want to see all service. I want to see for only IK. So I use the IKMGR. And by default, it is set to info mode. If I change it to set level debug service IKMGR, so my IKMGR is set to debug. So I'm running that all services command where I'm making all service into the default mode. So again, checking for IKMGR, it's changed to info mode from debug. And I didn't specify for IKMGR, I specified for all services. So IKMGR is also part of all services, so it got changed to info mode. So options, Debug software logging level set label, options error, warn, info, debug, dump, default. We use default, and I also showed you how you can change it to debug as well by using the debug keyword. So gathering more data, how to monitor daemons. So you can monitor daemons through web interface dashboard or SNMP through the GUI of the device. You can also monitor it through system logs. If any of the daemons crashes, it is going to generate a system log entry as well. Or another way is checking on the individual services. So you can run the command show system software status, show system resources. If you want to actually go through a service log of a daemon, so less or tail, mp log, service log name. And if you want to specifically check for any pattern in the log file, you can run the grep mp log command. Right. So show system software status, I'll show you how the output looks like. So when you run show system software status, you will see these are the services running or daemons running on the device. You will also see a process ID associated with each services. So if any of the services is not running, you will be able to verify it from here. You will not see the running status or stopped over here with the process ID. Show systems resources. So this is specifically very useful command when we are troubleshooting management plane related issues. You can verify the information over here, the top. If you have already used Linux or Unix systems, you will see this output is something similar to Unix systems. You can see one user is logged in, load average, 346 start total task, 14 running, 331 sleeping, 0 stopped, 1 zombie task. You can see percentage value of your CPU over here. Okay, and the processes which are consuming the most of your memory and CPU over here. A lot of times you get questions or from the customers or tickets from the customers that they are observing high memory because the span task or high CPU because the span task is consuming this much CPU and memory. So you can actually ignore this. This is supposed to be like this. This is by default the behavior of pan task. Other than pan task, if you're so whenever you are seeing this pan task very high, you should not be observing any issues related to the management plane. If you're observing any issues related to management plane, it is not generally pan task. You have to ignore the pan task daemon and verify any of the other daemon or services causing the problem which are below pan task. So that could be causing the issue. So most of the time when customers report, they're seeing this very high and consuming a lot of CPU or memory, but they don't observe any issue because this is by default setup like this. This is supposed to be very high. Okay. So when we talk about web interfaces or dashboard, you can actually verify your services from the management from the GUI of your web interface. So under your dashboard, you can actually verify the system resources, whatever the management plane CPU, data plane CPU on the device, and the session count. So this is the firewall under dashboard. At the bottom, you will see system resources where you can get the information of your management CPU and data plane CPU and the session count. As this is a lab device, you won't see a lot of information over here. Second is the system logs. Whenever daemon is causing any issue or crashing or anything weird happening to the daemon or to the service, you will see a system log getting generated for that. You can actually filter system logs with severity like informational or critical. So if I open my system log, so system log will be visible under monitor system logs. So if you want to filter any informational, so I can just select severity informational, and it will show me all the severity informational logs. So you can see PAN-DB was upgraded. These are all information logs. If I change it to critical, let's see if I have anything critical. So I have some critical logs as well. If you can see it's all related to HA. So we were trying to configure HA, and then link was down. So we will see these kinds of critical alerts as well. So service logs can also be viewed through the critical, but detail, GUI, but detail has to be seen through CLI, or you can also extract the TSF, unzip the TSF, and review the logs. Okay, to review the service log files through TSF, you can generate the tech support file. How to generate the tech support file? Tech support file to generate, you have to go to the device, and on the bottom left, you will see support. You click on support, and then on the right, generate tech support file. Once you generate tech support file, it will start generating. It will take some time, and then you can download the tech support file from there. Once you have downloaded, you can unpack or unzip the file and examine. So most of the logs will be present under var log pan directory. If we are troubleshooting any buggy behavior, any crashes observed on the device, and we need those crash codes to be analyzed, those information can be extracted through var course crash info in your TSF.